welcome to my 8th video in the series about energy and ecosystems, and today we're going to be looking at exam questions. So these questions are again taken from the Unit 4 AQA biology course, and they're taken, I believe, from the 2011 paper. So, question 7. In some countries, pigs are reared in intensive units in which the temperature is controlled. Agricultural scientists investigated the effect of temp on pig growth and the efficiency at which the pigs were converted in food to biomass. In the investigation, scientists used the pigs of the same breed with similar genotypes. Explain why. So, the fact that they're a similar breed, this means that their alleles are reasonably similar, so genetically they're reasonably similar to one another, and therefore it's a form of control. It means that the difference isn't being caused by a variation in genetics. It's more likely that to be caused by the thing that you're investigating, the effect of temperature. 7a part 2. The pigs were allowed to eat as much food as they wanted. How could this have decreased the reliability of any conclusions drawn from the investigations? If the pigs are allowed to eat as much as they want, then you would expect them to put on more biomass. And again, what you're doing there is you're introducing another variable, and so therefore it gets away from whether the temperature actually causes the variation or not. And so obviously different eating rates will cause different growth rates, and therefore could possibly not be caused by the change in temperature. Okay, so 7b part 1, describe the effect of temperature has on the mean growth rate. You can see the temperature here and the mean growth rate here, and it's a describe question, and so in this instance you can see that it basically goes up and down with a peak of 20 degrees. So it's reasonably straightforward. If you wanted to, you could quote the numbers for 20 there. 7b part 2, a student concluded that from these data that the mean growth rate of the pigs was fastest at 20 degrees. Do you agree with the conclusion? Explain your answer. The initial problem I'd have with this is you can't say it's 20 degrees because you've got no way of telling whether the quickest growth rate is 17, if it's 25, so it's a difficult one to establish. So the fact that the differences between the temperatures are quite large means it's very difficult to establish that it's exactly at 20 degrees Celsius, and so therefore there should be more intermediates here for you to draw that conclusion. So 7c part 1, pigs can survive at temperatures above 35 degrees. Use the data to suggest why scientists did not carry out any investigations at the temperatures higher than 35 degrees. What's key here is it says use the data to suggest why. So any reference now to cruelty to the pigs isn't valid here. What it's saying is use the data. So if you actually physically look at the data, you can see that at 35 degrees the mean growth rate had gone down, and the efficiency of conversion to food biomass had levelled off. So that would be partially the reason why they wouldn't go any higher than 35 degrees. So some of the key points here. The growth rate is decreasing, so or the conversion is staying the same or decreasing at this point. And so the scientists will be looking for the high growth rate, and so therefore, you wouldn't continue going. If the data showed that it had stopped happening, you wouldn't continue to keep testing and keep testing. Relatively a waste of time, and hence the third mark. So 7c part 2, the efficiency of the conversion of food to biomass is lower at 0 than in the 20. Suggests an explanation for the lower efficiency. And so at 0 degrees Celsius, more of the energy used in respiration is being used to heat the organism, and less at 20. So this results in organisms having to respire more, and therefore more food is being used at this point, and so it's any two from those three. Finally, 7d, pigs require a mixture of fibre and protein in their food. The greater the ratio of fibre to protein, the less the food costs. Scientists took a large group of pigs. They fed each group a different high fibre food. Each of the foods contained fibre from different plant species, but they all had the same energy content. The scientists fed the control group of pigs a low fibre food with the same energy content. After 10 days, the scientists compared the masses of the pigs fed on high fibre to those fed on low fibre food. The graph shows the results in the investigation. The bars represent 2 standard deviations, or 2 standard errors away from the mean. A farmer saw these results and concluded that he should replace his usual pig's food with food B. Evaluate this. So clearly 4 marks. So evaluate means you give for and against. Clearly 4 in this instance is the fact that B has the highest final mass. So in support, food B produces the greatest mass above the control, clearly. But the problem you have here is you've got a very, very wide standard error bars, and so because the bars overlap, it could mean that it's no better than the control, and so you'd be hard pushed to differentiate between A and B, so you wouldn't be sure whether to feed them A or B. Obviously, if you were comparing this to B and C, there is a significant difference between those two. Also, some experimental limitations you might have had. It only ran for 10 days, you can't really tell too much from a trial that lasts that long. Again, the conditions that they were kept in might have been different, which might have caused a change. And obviously, a big thing to do with farmers is they're looking at cost, and so in this instance there's no information about the cost, and so you can't ascertain whether it would be cost effective or not.